Hey, it's your girl Bree. Welcome back to the channel. So this is going to be my first official Booktube video. So I might title this video Welcome to Booktube or something like that. But basically, I am doing this video to hold myself to some level of accountability and also show you what I plan to read for the month of June. We're already partly into June. Luckily for me, I am a speed reader. I can read a couple books, well, more than a couple books a week, depending on what my schedule is for the week. But basically, I let my physical TBR, to be read, for those of you who don't know, get out of control. I basically went to the library and I put that in a video. All the books I got from the library, I barely read because I went a little ARC crazy, advanced reader copy crazy. If you've ever read an ARC or received an ARC from a publisher or an author, it's a really big honor actually to get accepted into that. And you're supposed to read the book and then like do a review if that's what they're asking you to do, or promote the book if that's what they're asking you to do in exchange for receiving an advanced copy of the book. So I try to prioritize those, and there were a lot of ARCs that came out that I was really interested in May and April, so I prioritized those rather than the physical books that I had at my house. So that is about to change. I've kind of like slowed down a little on the advanced reader applications that I put in to focus on my TBR because I need to clean out the books. So first we're gonna go through my library books. I renewed them so that way that none of them are late. Don't let your library books get late, people. But basically these are the books that I'm planning to read in June, so that way I can make sure that they get returned to the library. First up, and actually I've been seeing people read this on the train, which every time I see someone read this on the train, it reminds me that I need to read it, is The Wedding People. The Wedding People by Alison Espach, and I apologize in advance if I mispronounce any of these people's names. So Alison Espach is how I'm planning to say that. I don't know if that's how you say that, but it's The Wedding People. A lot of people have been talking about this book, and the blurb, if you're interested: it's a beautiful day in Newport, Rhode Island, where Phoebe Stone arrives at the Grand Cornwall Inn wearing a green dress and gold heels, not a bag in sight, alone. She's immediately mistaken by everyone in the lobby for one of the wedding people, but she's actually the only guest at the Cornwall who isn't here for the big event. Phoebe is here because she's dreamed of coming for years. She's hoped to shuck oysters and take sunset sails with her husband, only now she's here without him, at rock bottom, and determined to have one last decadent splurge on herself. Meanwhile, the bride has accounted for every detail and every possible disaster the weekend might yield except for, well, Phoebe and Phoebe's plan, which makes it that much more surprising when the two women can't stop confiding in each other. So, Wedding People is on my list. Next up, obviously, Riley Sager. We love Middle of the Night. Riley Sager, we love. I took this out. I don't know how this was not the first book I read when I came home from the library, but it wasn't. So I will be reading Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. This one is: the worst thing to ever happen on Hemlock Circle. It occurred in Ethan March's backyard. One July night, 10-year-old Ethan and his best friend and neighbor Billy fell asleep in a tent set up on a manicured lawn in a quiet, quaint New Jersey cul-de-sac. In the morning, Ethan woke up alone. During the night, someone had sliced the tent open with a knife and taken Billy. He was never seen again. 30 years later, Ethan has reluctantly returned to his childhood home. Plagued by bad dreams and insomnia, he begins to notice strange things happening in the middle of the night. Someone seems to be roaming the cul-de-sac at odd hours, and signs of Billy's presence keep appearing in Ethan's backyard. Is someone playing a cruel prank, or has Billy, long thought to be dead, somehow returned to Hemlock Circle? The mysterious occurrences prompt Ethan to investigate what really happened that night, a quest that reunites him with former friends and neighbors and leads him into the woods that surround Hemlock Circle. Woods where Billy claimed ghosts roamed, and where a mysterious institute does clandestine research on a crumbling estate. The closer Ethan gets to the truth, the more he realizes that no place, be it quiet forest or suburban street, is completely safe, and that the past has a way of haunting the present. So that's my book 2. I'm not reading these in this order, but this is the order they're in the bag. So next up is Bride by Ali Hazelwood, a very well-known author. This is not a new book. It's been out for a while now, actually, but I just never read it. And it says, Misery Lark, daughter of a powerful vampire councilman, is an outcast. Her days of living anonymously among the humans are over. She has been called upon to uphold an alliance between the vampires and their mortal enemies, the Wares. Wares are ruthless and unpredictable, and their alpha, Lo Morland, is no exception. He rules his pack with absolute authority, but not without justice or feeling. It's clear from the way he tracks Misery's every movement that he doesn't trust her. If only he knew how right he was. Misery has her own reasons to agree to this maritime convenience. Reasons that have nothing to do with politics or alliances, and everything to do with the only thing she ever cared about. And she's willing to do whatever it takes to get back what's hers. I have no idea what's hers, but we're going to find out. Next up is Out There Screaming, edited by Jordan Peele, an anthology of new Black horror. I'm very excited about this book. It says, a cop begins seeing huge blinking eyes where the headlights of cars should be that tell him who to pull over. Two freedom riders take a bus ride that leaves them stranded on a lonely road in Alabama where several unsettling somethings await them. A young girl dives into the depths of the earth in search of the demon that killed her parents. These are just a few of the worlds of Out There Screaming, Jordan Peele's anthology of all new horror stories by Black writers, featuring an introduction by Peele and an all-star cast of Black writers. Out There Screaming is a masterclass in horror, and like Peele's spine-chilling films, its stories prey on everything we think we know about our world and redefine what it means to be afraid. Next book up is by Grady Hendrix, and it's Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. I read a Grady Hendrix book before, How to Sell a Haunted House, actually. I was not a huge fan of that book, but Grady Hendrix is an author that I hear a lot about, so I decided to read another book from him, see how I feel. But yeah, this is what the blurb says. They call them wayward girls, loose girls, girls who grew up too fast, and they're sent to the Wellwood House in St. Augustine, Florida, where unwed mothers are hidden by their families to have their babies in secret, to give them up for adoption, and most importantly of all, to forget any of it ever happened. 15-year-old Fern arrives at the home in the sweltering summer of 1970, pregnant, frightened, and alone. Under the watchful eye of the stern Miss Wellwood, she meets a dozen other girls in the same predicament. There's Rose, a hippie who insists she's going to find a way to keep her baby and escape to a commune, and Zinnia, a budding musician who plans to marry her baby's father, and Holly, a wisp of a girl, barely 14, mute and pregnant by no one knows who. Everything the girls eat, every moment of their waking day, and everything they're allowed to talk about is strictly controlled by the adults who claim they know what's best for them. Then Fern meets a librarian who gives her an occult book about witchcraft, and power is in the hands of the girl for the first times in their lives. But power can destroy as easily as it creates, and it's never given freely. There's always a price to be paid, and it's usually paid in blood. Next book from the library is Go Hex Yourself. And you might be thinking, this is a witchy book. It kind of looks like Spooktober, Halloween-y, but I don't care. I read these types of books all year long. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to get through my physical TBR. Another reason for that is because I want to do Christmas in July, and in July read like seasonal Christmassy books, but we'll see if that actually happens. So this is the next book up. I love the cover. It has a cat on it, so obviously immediately pick it up. This one says, when Reggie Johnson answers a job ad in the paper, she's astonished to find that she's not really applying for work at her favorite card game, Spellcraft the Magicking, which is like Magic the Gathering. If you know, you know. Instead, she's applying to be an actual familiar for an actual witch, as in real magic. The new job has a few perks: great room and board, excellent pay, and she's apprenticing to a powerful witch. Sure, the witch is a bit eccentric, and sure there was that issue with the black cat Reggie would prefer to forget about. The biggest problem, however, is Warlock Ben Magnus, her employer's nephew and the most arrogant, insufferable, demanding man to ever cast a spell. Reggie absolutely hates him. He's handsome, but he's also bossy and irritating and orders her around. Ben's butt might look good in a crystal ball vision, but that's as far as it goes. But when someone with a vendetta targets the household, she finds herself working with Ben to break a deadly curse. Apparently, when they're not fighting like cats and dogs, things get downright bewitching. That one sounds really cute. And I feel like I could read that pretty quickly. Next up from the library, we have Fish Out of Water by Katie Ruggles. Oh, and I don't think I actually read who wrote this. So it's called Go Hex Yourself by Jessica Clare. And this cover looked beautiful. I love the artwork on it. I think it's gorgeous. So it says on the back, when Dahlia Weathersby's sister disappears on what should have been a simple day hike, Dahlia immediately heads deep into the Rockies to find her. Knowing she'll never survive the mountains alone, she convinces the local hermit, adorably grouchy survival expert Winston Dane, to be her guide. All it takes is a good helping of Dahlia's charm and just the teeniest bit of blackmail before she gets all 6 foot something of him wrapped around her finger. And probably other parts, but we'll get to that. But even with her very own mountain man in tow, things aren't going to be easy. And then there's a cute little checklist. It says, long hikes through gorgeous wilderness? Check. Bears? Check. A single shared sleeping bag? Check. Enough sparks to set the Rockies ablaze? Check, check, check. With everything the wilderness has to throw at them, it'll take more than charm and some city girl ingenuity to make this trek anything but a disaster waiting to happen, and an adventure she'll never forget. That sounds really cute. I think I could read that pretty quick too. Next up from the library, something I've had on my list for a long time is The Blonde Dies First by Joelle Wellington. This is a horror sort of book, or at least it should be fairly scary, and it's 14 and up, so not graphic, hopefully. Well, I don't really care. I love horror books, but the title and the cover, and I've seen several versions of this cover, it looks so interesting to me, so I had to get it. And it says, Devin is always being left behind by her genius twin sister, Drew. At this point, it's a fact of life, but Devin has one last plan before Drew leaves for college a whole year early. The best summer ever. After committing to the bit a little too much, though, the twins and their chaotic circle of friends learn why you don't ever mess with a Ouija board if you actually want to survive the best summer ever. And they soon find themselves being hunted down by a demon. But while there's no mistaking the creeping, venomous figure is not from around here, its murderous method doesn't feel very demonic at all. In fact, it's downright human, going after them in typical slasher movie killer order. And that means Devin, the blonde, is up first, and her decade-long crush, Yaya, pretty brunette virginal Yaya, is the final girl, who must kill or be killed to end the cycle. Devin has never liked playing by anyone else's rules, not even demons, and the longer this goes on, the more she feels Drew and Yaya slipping away from her, even as she tries to help them all survive. Can they use their horror movie knowledge to flip the script and become the hunters instead of the hunted, or will their best summer ever be their last? That sounded too good and too cute. I need to read it. I actually have 2 books in a series. You can guess why I picked these up, even though the titles were interesting. They're called the Honey Badger Chronicles, and Honey Badger is an animal. If you don't know what it looks like, I'll pop a picture up on the screen. I don't know what these men have to do with a honey badger. If they're honey badger shifters, that will be a first for me. I love a shifter book, like wares and dragons and whatever. It doesn't really matter. Bears. It doesn't really matter. I've never read a honey badger. Oh, foxes even. I've never read a honey badger shifter book, and if that's what these people are, I'm so intrigued. So I'll just read you the backs of these. Although, can we talk about this? I freaking hate when the library puts the sticker for the book on the back, so you can't even read the beginning. Oh, pet peeve. Okay, so I can't read what the first sentence is, but it says, even more surprising, the youngest, oh sorry, I didn't even tell you the titles. So this one is called In a Badger Way by Shelley Lawrence. Of the lethal, ball-busting, and beautiful McGilligan sisters is terrified of bears, but she's not terrified of pandas. She loves pandas, which means that whether Shen wants her to or not, she simply won't stop cuddling him. Oh, so he's a panda. I mean, that's better, I guess. That's so cute. I would cuddle him too. Anyway, he isn't some stuffed giant panda, you know. He is a giant panda shifter. This is talking about judging a book by its cover, literally. I picked this up because of the cover. without reading the back. Well, I think I read the first part, like the first paragraph of the back, but I didn't read the whole thing. So I would have known he was a giant panda shifter if I had continued reading. It says he deserves respect and personal space, something that little hybrid is completely ignoring. But Stevie has a way of finding trouble, like going undercover to take down a scientist experimenting on other shifters. For what? Shen doesn't want to know, but they'd better find out, and fast. Stevie might be the least violent of the Honey Badger sisters. Oh, so she's the Honey Badger. But she's the most dangerous to Shen's peace of mind, because she has absolutely no idea how much trouble they're in, or just how damn adorable she is. So there is that. Then the other book, also by the same author, is called Badger to the Bone. And this one, luckily, does not have the sticker over. So it says, she's the woman he's been hired to kidnap. But Zizi Vargas has other ideas, like getting them both out of this nightmare alive. Just one problem. She's crazy. Certifiably. Because while he's plotting their escape, the petite Asian beauty is plotting something much more deadly. Max, kill it again, McGilligan. Okay, first of all, how does one get a nickname like that? Because I need a nickname like that. I need somebody to give me a nickname. Leave them in the comments. Let me know a good nickname for me. Max, kill it again, McGilligan. I love that. Has no idea what one of her own is doing with all of these criminal humans until she realizes Z has no idea who or what he is, or exactly how much power he truly has. But Max is more than happy to bring this handsome jaguar shifter. I love a cat shifter. Okay. There's no hierarchy, like, you know, one is better than the other, but give me a cat shifter. Ooh, I'll read it all day. Jaguar shifter into her world and show him everything he's been missing out on. A move that might be the dumbest thing she's ever done once she realizes how far her enemies will go to wipe her out. Too bad for them. Z is willing to do whatever it takes to keep her alive, and honey badgers are just so damn hard to kill. Next library book is one that I was trying to get an ARC of, but I could not, which is fine. Like I said, it's a process. They have limits to how many advanced reader copies they can give. But Raiders of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura looked hilarious and exactly like the action adventure romance type of book that I wanted to read. Obviously, it's kind of giving Indiana Jones, which is a fantastic movie from my childhood that I love. But it says, archaeologist Dr. Sakura Corey has a bone to pick. Literally, it's been Corey's life goal to lead an expedition deep into the Mexican jungle in search of the long lost remains of her ancestor Chamali, an ancient warrior of the Aztec Empire. When she is invited to join an all-expense-paid dig to do just that, Corey is sure it's too good to be true. And she's right. As the world-renowned expert on Chamali, Corey should, by rights, be leading this quest, not sharing the glory with her disgustingly handsome nemesis. But Dr. Ford Matthews has been finding new ways to best her since they were in grad school. Ford certainly isn't thrilled either with his life in shambles. The last thing he needs is a reminder of their rocky past. But as the dig begins, it becomes clear they'll need to work together. A thief is lurking around their campsite, forcing the pair to keep their discoveries and lingering attraction under wraps. With money-hungry artifact smugglers, the Mexican authorities, and the lies between them closing in, there's only one way this all ends: explosively. This looks so good. I might read that one first because it's short and I feel like I could get through it. Next book looks very cute. It's called Donut Fall in Love by Jackie Lau. Okay, so it says, actor Ryan Kwok is back in Toronto after the promotional tour for his latest film, a rom-com that is getting less than stellar reviews. After years of constant work and the sudden death of his mother, Ryan is taking some much-needed time off. But as he tries to be supportive to his family, he struggles with his loss and doesn't know how to talk to his dad, who now trolls him on Twitter instead of meeting him for dim sum. Okay, first of all, why is your dad trolling him? That sounds funny. Innovative baker Lindsay McLeod meets Ryan when he knocks over 24 specialty donuts at her bakery. Their relationship is off to a messy start, but there's no denying their immediate attraction. When Ryan signs up for a celebrity episode of Baking Fail, he asks Lindsay to teach him how to bake, and she agrees. As Lindsay and Ryan spend time together, bonding over grief and bubble tea, it starts to feel like they're cooking up something sweeter than cupcakes in the kitchen. That looks cute. Next is The Casket Case by Lauren Evans. This obviously has some like dark or macabre type things in it, just based on the title. But it says, Nora thought she was finished with Rabbit Town, Alabama for good. But an unexpected tragedy turns her life upside down, and she's found herself back in her tiny hometown, running the family casket business. There aren't exactly a lot of prospects for a single woman in a place like Rabbit Town, until Nora Clanton's ordinary casket selling day is interrupted by a handsome stranger wandering into her shop and asking for directions. Garrett Bishop seems like the ideal guy. He's thoughtful, he's kind, and he's passionate about his job as a logistics coordinator. She's not totally sure what logistics entails, but she knows it means long hours, lots of travel, and urgent calls in the middle of the night. When a few of Rabbit Town's residents suddenly pass away, a heart attack here, a car crash there, and Garrett is spotted at the scenes of, well, all the deaths, his frustratingly vague job description starts to become increasingly suspicious. What does Garrett actually do for a living? He's a logistics coordinator for death. He's basically a Grim Reaper. When Nora discovers the truth, she is unable to reconcile the wonderful man she knows with the unthinkably cruel job he loves. Will she ever be able to understand how he can do what he does, or will she have to lay her best chance at love to rest? That sounds really funny. Like just hijinks. Macabre hijinks, but hijinks nonetheless. Next up, we have The Hive by Greg Olson. And truthfully, I almost didn't get this book because I have tryptophobia, which is a fear of small holes and patterns. And this book, but it's just a book. So I had to get it. I like Greg Olson as an author, so I wanted to pick this up. And it says, in the Pacific Northwest, Detective Lindsay Jackman is investigating the murder of a young journalist found at the bottom of a ravine. Lindsay soon learns that the victim was writing an expose. Her subject, a charismatic wellness guru who pulled millions into her euphoric orbit. To hear Marnie Spellman tell it, when she was a child, a swarm of bees lifted her off the ground and toward the sunlight, illuming her spiritual connection with nature, an uncanny event on which Marnie built a cosmetic empire and became a legend, a healer, and the queen of holistic health and eternal beauty. In her inner circle is an intimate band of devotees called The Hive. They share Marnie's secrets of success, including one cloaked in darkness for 20 years. Determined to uncover the possibly deadly mysteries of the group, Lindsay focuses her investigation on Marnie and the former members of the Hive, who are just as determined to keep Lindsay from her secrets as they are to maintain their status. So those are all the library books. And then on top of that, I have 4 physical books that I bought that I need to read. I'm behind on my book of the month club, so I need to read my last month pick, which was Every Sweet Thing is Bitter by Samantha Cruson. And this says, 13 years ago, Providence Bird threw the family car in reverse and ran over her mother. Even though her mother survived, that single instance of teenage madness made Providence a felon and irrevocably altered her life. When her mother disappears years later, under suspicious circumstances, Providence tells herself that returning home is her chance to find closure after a prolonged estrangement from her family. Never mind that this is only half of the truth. She's also returning to finally confront her abusive father, Tom Bird. Nothing can stamp out Providence's certainty that he is guilty of whatever terrible thing has happened to her mother. As the search unfolds, Providence is haunted by the wounds of her past, none of which cut as deep as the distance between her and her younger sisters. Harmony and Grace are both uniquely scarred by her attempted matricide. Both have their own idea of what reconciliation might look like, if reconciling is even possible. Harmony urges Providence to make their father pay for his sins. Grace begs her to end the cycle of violence that has haunted their family for generations. As her thirst for vengeance collides with her desire to heal her relationships with her sisters, Providence must decide which she values more, revenge or redemption. That sounded too good. I had to pick that as my book last month. And then my book this month, well, for May actually, I think. Yes, because my June book I picked hasn't come, so obviously I need to read that. And this May book was so delayed that I just got it like last week, The Silver Elite by Danny Francis. And it's the special, like, I guess special version. So it has painted edges, which is why it took so long, because it was in high demand apparently. And it says, trust no one. Wren Darlington has spent her whole life in hiding, honing her psychic abilities, and aiding the rebel uprising in small ways. On the continent, being modified means certain death, and Wren is one of the most powerful mods in existence. When one careless mistake places her in the hands of the enemy and she's forced to join Silverblock, their most elite training program, she's finally handed the perfect opportunity to strike a devastating blow from inside their ranks. Lie to everyone. But training for Silverblock can be deadly, especially when you're harboring dangerous secrets and living in close quarters with everyone who wants you dead. And whatever you do, don't fall for your greatest enemy. As the stakes grow even higher, Wren must prove herself, but that's easier said than done when her commanding officer is the ruthless and infuriatingly irresistible Cross Redden, who doesn't miss anything when it comes to her. And as war rages between mods like her and those who aim to destroy them, Wren must decide just how far she's willing to go to protect herself and how much of the continent is worth saving. And then, don't kill me, but I love Kennedy Ryan. She's actually one of the authors that caused me to even start a Bookstagram, book talk, book anything type of page. Her last book in a series that she's had going now for a couple years came out in May. I ordered it. I pre-ordered it, the Barnes & Noble's exclusive edition, because I wanted the foil cover. And the book was Can't Get Enough. I did not read it yet because, like I said, I was swamped with ARCs, and you have to post those by a certain day. And I wanted to prioritize those books, even though my heart wanted desperately to read this book. So this is the first book I'm actually going to be reading in this whole pile of books that I've told you about. This is the conclusion to her series, and it says, Hendrix Berry lives a fabulous life. She has phenomenal friends, a loving family, and a thriving business that places her in the entertainment industry's rarefied air. Your vision board? She's probably living it. She's a woman with goals, dreams, ambitions, always striving upward. And in the midst of everything, she's facing her toughest challenge yet, caring for an aging parent. Who has time for romance? From her experience, there's a low ROI on relationships. She hasn't met the man who can keep up with her anyway, until him. Tech mogul Maverick Bell is a dilemma wrapped in an exquisitely tailored suit and knee-melting charm. From their first charged glance at the summer's hottest party, Hendrik feels like she's met her match, only he can't be. Mav may be the first to make her feel this seen and desired and appreciated, but he's the last one she can have. Forbidden fruit is the juiciest, and this man is off limits if she plans to stay the course she set for herself. But when Maverick gives chase, pursuing her, spoiling her, understanding her, is it time to let herself have something more? So this is the first book I'm going to read in my pile, and if you have not read this book or the two books preceding this book, you need to do it. You need to do it. Last but certainly not least is also a book that I ordered when it came out but did not read, and this is like 2 months ago or more, I don't even know, is Lucy Score. Love Lucy Score, Story of My Life. It's a special edition. It has the painted edges. It says, what's more inspiring to a rom-com author than a hot, grumpy contractor literally knocking down walls? Hazel Hart is a thriving romance novelist until a breakup drives her straight into writer's block. Having failed to deliver her new manuscript, she's living in pajamas and hiding behind a mound of takeout containers until her publisher lays down the law. If she misses her next deadline, it's the end. Desperate for inspiration, Hazel impulse buys a historic home online and flees Manhattan to tiny Story Lake, PA. Upon her dramatic arrival, involving an incident with a bald eagle, she discovers the charm of her new home may have been slightly exaggerated. But Hazel doesn't care. Not since all 6'3" of grouchy contractor Campbell Bishop slapped a bandage on her forehead and unintentionally inspired the heck out of her. There's only one thing to do. Hire Cam and his equally gorgeous brothers to renovate her new spider museum house. Cam wants to say no. Hazel's got trouble written all over her, but if his family's business is going to stay afloat, they need the job. Besides, he's certain Hazel won't last a month in rural Pennsylvania. But before she knows it, she's writing a romance novel and living one, at least until she has to save the town and Cam remembers exactly why he doesn't do relationships. So those are the physical books I need to read. I have one last list of books, and I'm also doing Fable's TBR Bingo. I posted it on my Instagram. I'll link in the description the post. But basically they came out with this bingo card that is blank. You're supposed to read an Indigenous author, a fake dating book, a Juneteenth novel, a coming of age book, pride book, a read outdoors book, like a book you'd read outdoors. And actually Lucy Scorebook is what I put for my read outdoors, a Cowboys book, and a young adult romance book. So what I picked for my books are Sabrina and Karina by Kali Farjado and Steen. That's my Indigenous authors book. For fake dating, I picked Fake Dating Adrian Hunter by Skyla Summers. For Juneteenth, I'm actually reading a book called Juneteenth by Ralph Ellison. For my coming of age book, I am reading Great Black Hope by Rob Franklin. For my pride book, I'm reading And They Were Roommates by Paige Powers. For my read outdoors book, I'm reading the Lucy Score book. And for cowboy book, I'm reading Wild Wild Cowboy by Elizabeth Bright. And last but not least, for my young adult romance book, I'm reading Rival Darling by Alexandra Moody. So yeah, that's what I am reading. That is a total of, how many books did I say? 19 plus the books I just listed would put me at 26 books I have to read, plus any digital books that catch my interest. So yeah, June's gonna be busy because I want to finish all of these books before the end of June so I can do Christmas in July. So I'll come back at the end of June with how many I finished, whether I completed my task, and if you want to follow my progress for what I'm reading, how I liked it, and my reviews, I'll be posting those on my Instagram and my Goodreads. So make sure you're following me on Goodreads. Friend me on Goodreads. I love to have new friends on Goodreads. Thanks so much for watching. I will update you later on my reading. Bye.